Welcome to our second webinar of the year, where we're diving into stage 2 of the Resmark Growth Engine, and that is the planning stage. So last month in January, we really dove into the dreaming stage, and that's where somebody might not have any idea who you are as a tour company yet. Yet they're scrolling, they're exploring, they're imagining their next trip, and your job is simple in the dreaming phase. It is to get in front of them and just spark some form of interest. So, this stage, however, the planning stage, is the stage that can make or break bookings. And that's why I'm really excited to dive into stage 2 today. All right, let's get going. Who is Resmark? So, a lot of you guys are familiar with Resmark. I saw some familiar emails come through, but if you're new here, welcome. We hope that you continue to jump on our webinars and trainings and listens to our podcast. But our mission is to help tour operators grow more profitable businesses while delivering a better guest experience and peace of mind. So, we do that, of course, through our service offerings, whether that's our booking software for tour operators, our digital marketing service, so website, SEO, CRO, AI optimization, paid ads, and strategic coaching as well. And then, of course, our digital waivers. But whether you're a client or not, or never become a client, we hope that we can still provide value to you. And that's why we do these ongoing monthly webinars and our podcasts and everything. So, who is Greg and Nikki? Why should you listen to us? Well, I'm Nikki. I'm the marketing director of Resmark. So I do all of our internal marketing efforts. So all of our emails, our social media, our paid ads, our SEO, website, all of that, I kind of manage. I have a team, of course, that helps me. I don't think I could do that all by myself, but I've been in digital marketing for about 10 years now, and so much has changed over the last couple years. It's incredible, but I love what I do. I love marketing. It's actually my passion. I study it all the time. And Greg here, my co-host of our podcast and our webinar series, he's actually my manager. So Greg is the senior marketing and sales manager. I always have to think that one through. But he's actually been in the tourism industry for many years. He's been with Resmark for a very long time. He knows this industry inside and out. But what's really great about Greg is he has an incredible design background. And as I said on our previous slide, we do websites for our clients. And a lot of times before we go live with a website, he's kind of like that final eyes of approval. And if there's something that he thinks could make it pop better, or we could do something a bit more, outstanding on the website, he always has a really amazing say in that. So we appreciate Greg's expertise. And Greg, you don't know I'm going to ask this, but you're a traveler too. Out of all of these places in the image you're seeing, what has been your favorite place you've explored?
That's a hard question. There's a lot of really fun places out there, but the place I wanted to go the most was Banff National Park. So I went there a few years ago with my wife. The picture there is at Moraine Lake, and we were there like just after sunrise. It was dead silent. We sat there for like 2 hours just on the rocks, just enjoying peace, no kids, no responsibility, and just kind of relaxing. We went and set up a hammock in the trees down closer to the lake and spent some more time. It was super awesome and relaxing.
I can't imagine anything better. That sounds awesome. The picture is amazing. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Greg, where he's going to give us a broad overview and a reminder of what the growth engine actually is. Go ahead, Greg.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, welcome everyone. Today's stage 2 of the growth engine. So we're talking about planning. And if you haven't heard of the growth engine, this is a framework that we put together to help maximize the success of your company. And so as we go through each of these stages, hopefully we're adding value through these webinars and podcasts and emails and things so that you can find those items that are going to really elevate your business. So the 5 stages of kind of the customer life cycle are dreaming, which we talked about last time, planning, booking, experiencing, and sharing. And as we go through each of those, we have a Resmark Growth Engine survey that we've conducted in the past and that we have available for people to kind of go through. And it's 25 questions. There's 5 questions in each of those stages, and it's just really to help see where you're at in this growth engine so that we can evaluate where you're at and help you, improve those pieces of the life cycle that are going to make the biggest effect on your business. So as we continue through, hopefully you'll kind of see that value and see what we're doing here. So today we're talking about the planning stage. And first, I just want to recap a little bit on the dreaming stage. In case you didn't see that webinar, don't quite understand it fully. But the dreaming stage really is just that time where the prospect, the potential guest might not know what they want to do, where they want to go, if they even want to do a tour. They're really just exploring their options. They're finding what they might like, and they're dreaming, right? So in the planning stage, this is where they start to narrow this down. They're starting to decide on the location. They're starting to figure out, do they want to do a tour or not? They've maybe made that decision, maybe not. And they're really just deciding what are the details of their trip and what do they need to go and book after that. So some people at this time they're planning their trip around an activity. They may have known what they wanted to do already, and now they're planning everything else around that. Some are really wondering what activities are there to do. Maybe they know a location they want to go to, but don't know what to do there. And then they might also be wondering, do I want to do a paid tour or do I just want to explore and do things on my own? A lot of times when I travel, I end up wanting to explore on my own just because I like freedom of doing that. But I also really like going on a tour and having that expertise and that experience that I sometimes can't create on my own as well. So the planning stage is really where your business can shine. It's where they're going to fall in love with your business, what you're offering, and ultimately decide if they want to choose you or not. So in this stage, you're really trying to win them over by answering the following three questions. The first one being, should I do a tour? Right. So you need to help the potential customer decide if they want to explore on their own or pay for your services. And you can do that by educating them on the benefits of paying for a tour. There's definitely some tours where it's like a necessity. Most people can't go hot air ballooning on their own without hiring someone. Others, like I can go and do kayaking on my own if I rent some kayaks. But what is the benefit of going on a tour with you on your kayak? And if you can explain that and educate the consumer, then it's more likely that they might choose you and book a tour with you if they decide to do a tour, right? So really just help them see the benefits of doing a guided tour versus. Next one is what type of tour. There's so many tours out there and there's so many options, especially in many of the places that people travel, that if they're not decided already on what type of tour they want to do, how can you educate them to understand what's available and why they should choose the things that you offer? They might be deciding between doing something adventurous in a certain location, like backpacking, or maybe something more cultural, like a food tour. And so they know where they're going, but don't really know what it is they want to do there yet. So as you educate them and help them understand that, they're going to see the value and that trust that you're providing as they're going throughout that decision. And then lastly, what company? So there's so in a lot of areas, there's a lot of options. And so if I drive down Main Street, Moab, Utah, I can see tour operator after tour operator after tour operator, locations with Jeeps out in front of them, side by sides. And if I haven't looked at anything, walk in the door, like, why should I choose your company? The same is on your website, same as in your marketing. There's so many options. You really need to help them choose like why they should put their trust into your company. So as we go throughout today, we're going to talk about five different areas in your marketing that are going to help build that trust and help bring them along through that planning phase so that they do choose you and do want to work with you and go on your tours. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your website focused on conversion and not just information or design? Is it valuable? Is it going to move the consumer into being a booking? Second is, are you capturing leads from visitors who are not ready to book yet? Third, do you have automated follow up nurturing sequences that are going to convert these leads into sales? Fourth, do you have ongoing email campaigns that you're conducting so that there's added value as people are interested in what you offer? And then lastly, do you have remarketing campaigns so that if they come on your website, are you showing up again in other places? So as we go through these five things, just remember the goal ultimately is if we can answer those three questions that I just brought up, among the many other questions people have, we're going to be able to guide the prospect into that booking phase. So let's talk about conversion focused website. This is my bread and butter and passion is website design conversion. So I'm excited to talk about this today. The first thing I want to pull up are two stats. First, 88% of travelers abandon a confusing website. And this is true in travel, true everywhere. You land on a website that doesn't make sense, doesn't look good and guide you through the process, you're most likely going to go find someone that can, give you the information that you need very clearly and easy to navigate. We don't want to spend the time to really figure out what you're trying to tell us, what you're trying to sell us. And then second, 96% of visitors are not ready to book on their first visit. So as we talk about the conversion focused website, remember your website, that's the goal, but it's not its only purpose. We need to educate, we need to get them excited and interested so that when they are ready to book, they come back to you and not a competitor or somewhere else. So we'll do this by looking at some examples and talking about some of the things that they do or don't do um, that can really help you move forward. So let's look at this first example. This is a website I found that is interesting because when I look at it, this is a bad example, if you didn't know. I look at it, I have no clue what to do on this page. I see some things flying at me. There's like no call to action. The only really actions on this page is I can open up the menu up at the top. I can search. I don't even know what I'm searching for, or I can change it from a space to a grid, right? So it's very confusing. And obviously, this isn't your typical website that you're going to find. It's exaggerated, but we're going to walk through a little bit of just very minor changes that help organize this so that it will convert better, so it can present the information in a way that the user can really understand what's going on here. And so the idea is thinking about the little things you can do on your website that can make a big impact. So we have flying objects, don't know if they're clickable, don't know what they are. If we click on the grid state at the bottom, um, now it's a little bit more organized. Just by changing the layout here, I now get a sense that, okay, these are things, I still don't know what they are. Are they little toys for kids? Are they stuffed animal type things? I have no clue what these are. But now that they're organized with their own little space, there's already something like enticing me to click on one of the squares. And so just by that little change, it's a big impact on how I'm going to interact with this site now. Because I might first click on that cactus thing instead of going up to the menu or the search icon. So improving it a little bit more, this improves it for the usability, but also the SEO side of things is including some sort of headline. In this case, I took all this from their website. We have contemporary furniture, unconventional approach. So now it's extremely clear what this is. These aren't toys for my kids. Well, maybe they're going to play on them still, but this is like some interesting furniture, right? Um, so by just adding that, there's that clarity. So when you're on your website, make sure the words you are using on your website are clear and focused on what you want people to understand about your company, right? And then adding a little bit of a call to action of you all products helps me understand that this is something I can buy. And then going one step further, adding these kind of buttons here to each of the cards. One, it tells me what they are, helps me think that they're even more clickable. If I did like a full redesign of this website, I would do it way different. This is using all of their styles and stuff. So they have some buttons like this on their site. I think you can make them stand out a little bit more. But hopefully this kind of gives a clear picture of just some little changes that can be made to make sure that it's very clear for the user how to approach your website and how to move forward. Let's look at some good examples now. This is an example of a website we built recently for Right Path Adventure. They do hiking tours in Dolomites and some other locations. And here, what I think is really good is within that first visible view, the top of fold, or what it used to be called, is we have some really clear things going on. So we have clear call to action for checking availability. We have, if I need to call, because on something like this, maybe I just want to talk to someone, I can call. We have live chat down here, and we have WhatsApp. So it's really easy to contact and move forward in making some sort of action there. We have a clear navigation that's not too many items in it. So it's really clear, like, okay, I can go and look at destinations. They have different destinations. Because in this instance, it just does talk about Dolomites in their H1 here, because that is the main tour that he's focusing on and wants to rank for. And so knowing there's other destinations might intrigue me to go and click on some different things as well. We have reviews up here in the top. So we're reinforcing, that hey, there's a lot of people who've been on this and they love it. 5 stars with 1,000+ people is really good. There's the TripAdvisor award. So we have these different proof of like, hey, this is a good company to work with. And then obviously there's the SEO related header here that's also engaging and helpful. Oh, and last thing, this search bar too. This helps me understand like, hey, there's other things to do. I can find what I want to do very quickly. So all of that within the first view without scrolling, there's a lot I can do to move the customer forward and make sure that they're getting the questions they want answered. As we scroll down the page for this client specifically, this type of tour, it's a very intimate experience. You're going with your guide, hiking for multiple days. You're going to get to know your guide really well, and your guide can make or break your experience, right? And so we decided to put this towards the top to build that trust with the guest so that they understand like who their guide is. So this is a video of Gary. He's one of the main guides. He's the owner. He's the one you're gonna be spending time with. And in the video, he's talking about his passion for the Dolomites and how long he's been doing it and things like that. And so it's really building that trust that hopefully they like him and they're gonna move forward, right? And they're gonna decide that, hey, this is exactly what I'm looking for. As we go to the next screen, we're seeing different tours offered in a clear card structure that allows you to easily compare them and see what they offer. Keep going. We have social proof. This is super valuable, especially on a site like this. His demographic that he's focusing on is that older generation. And so all of these reviews are from older people. We have like pictures of them, right? We're not showing kids, we're not showing these young teenagers or anything. We're showing the people that he wants to sell to. Even though he gets other people that comes on the tour, this is the demographic he really wants to focus on. And so showing that with their reviews is super powerful. And then FAQs. How are we answering their objections, concerns they might have in clear, easy, concise ways? And you can do this in FAQs, but you should also be doing it throughout your whole website through the content, the imagery, other things that you're offering as well. And then last, you get to the end of the page, have a clear call to action again so that they don't have to scroll back up to go click on something, but they can click here and go and start diving into the tours as well. So one more example I want to walk through just really quickly. Well, just real quick, this is their tour page. So once I click on a tour, having clear calls to action here as well and pricing, and then also a really easy way to see some of the key pieces of the tour so that they can understand what they're getting into. One thing I do want to call out is right under the check availability button, there's a line there that says cancel for free 10 days from booking. So that is that type of language, those type of things, really good to have around the check availability button because it helps build that trust and helps people understand like, hey, I can book this today. And if I go and find something different, I can cancel. Or if for some reason we change our mind, I can cancel. There's other types of information you put there to help them, have that trust to move forward and really engage with your pickup flow. All right, real quickly, we'll go through Saco River Tubing. So this is another website we built, and we can see there's great call to actions here, clear navigation. The background here is actually a video that's really engaging. It shows the fun that you're going to have if you come and go tubing with this company. And there's also social media icons in the bottom because for something like this, that's a little bit more engaging. Where it's like, hey, this is a fun thing to do. Maybe there's some really good posts that people have or that they have that are going to help bring that user into the booking flow. What I really love about this website is it's clean, it's easy to navigate. The content is just really, really well done. So this first block at the top is very like specific to where we are in right now, right? Winter got you down, dream of summer on the Saco. So it's something they're going to change. There's not just static content. They're probably going to update it in the spring and in the summer so that it's engaging each time that someone comes in. And the section under that is really an upsell. They offer campgrounds as well. So you're going to come and enjoy, you know, coming down the river. Why not stay with us and have a good time with your family even longer? And then again, here, just great content, great imagery that's showing like, come and be lazy, come hang out with your kids, leave the electronics behind for some good old fashioned fun. Like just really good descriptions in their content that draw you in and really make you want to go and choose this company. And then lastly, showing that, hey, we're called soccer river tubing, but we also do canoeing, rope swings, camping. We have other things that we're doing, right? So it's not just selling river tubing, but making sure they understand the other things that you do so that you can upsell them on those as well.
Also, before we carry on, mobile view is just as important, if not more important, depending on how much of your demographic is on mobile. Most people, most demographics are going to be using mobile pretty frequently. So make sure that your mobile is dialed in as well.
Yeah, and obviously
Oh,
we didn't show mobile stuff, but that's because not as easy to show on a webinar like this. But yeah, mobile is definitely important. It's been important for the last decade. So hopefully everyone has good booking platforms that have good mobile booking because that's going to draw people away too. If you get to the booking process and like you can't actually complete the booking on your phone, good chance they're not going to book with you.
all right. We have a high converting website. We have traffic coming to the website. And as you said, Greg, in that first stat you shared, 90% of the traffic is not ready to book. So what do we do? What do we do to get those people and capture their information? We create a lead magnet. Drop a 1 in the chat if you have a successful lead magnet on your website. This is where I see a lot of tour operators fail. They have some really great marketing things going on, good social media. Maybe they're running some great Facebook ads. They have a great website. They have strong SEO foundation. They're doing all these things and they're maybe even capturing emails, but they're not nurturing it. But so on this slide, I want to talk about lead magnets. It takes an average of 6 to 8 touch points before a customer makes a purchase decision. So if they're going off of your website, how are we going to continue to get in front of them? Of course, we could do remarketing ads if they accept cookies, we can get in front of them on Facebook, which we'll talk about later. But another way we can get in front of them is through their inbox. Most website visitors are still researching and not ready to book. That goes along with Greg's 96% stat. 58.6% of marketers say short written resources outperform long guides and reports. I wanted to say this near the beginning because so often people don't have a lead magnet on their website because they think maybe they don't have time to create something super involved. They don't have all week or. So You don't have to create something that is super in depth and several pages long. It could be a short piece of content. Not to say long guides won't perform either. We did a long guide, which I'll share in just a little bit, that was very successful. But don't be afraid to create a lead magnet because you don't have the time. 90% of consumers will share personal data when there is a clear value exchange. So people will give their phone number, their name, their email, as long as they're getting something in return. So don't be afraid to ask for it. Capturing the lead turns anonymous traffic into an audience that you own. So if they come to your website, leave your website, you don't have their information. So capture what you can and then remarket to them. And planning focused resources like trip guides, itineraries are going to attract higher intent guests. These are people who want to submit their personal information in order to gain something out of it. So, some other ideas could be an interactive quiz on your website saying which tour is right for you or me. Or maybe it's just something like everything you need to know about Moab, where yes, we are talking about the tour company, but we're also giving value in other places like top places to eat, places to stay, other local businesses to visit. That would be more of a lengthier kind of lead guide, but all great options. I've seen several across the board that are incredible, some short, some long. Most, I would say, have some sort of good graphic design behind it. So put some thought behind, the way it looks and presents because they're going to see it and they're going to think of your company every time they look at it. All right, so let's show some examples. This is something, it's actually not even launched yet. We just got this established on one of our clients' websites and it's not published, but it's basically an interactive quiz. We gamified a way that we can get their name and email. And the goal of this is if a user or visitor on the website is not ready to book a tour with Always Adventure, well, why don't we say, well, take our quiz to find out what tour is right for you? So not only is it something fun to do, we're now capturing data that we can use for marketing purposes, and they're getting to find out what tour is right for them because maybe they don't know what to pick. So this is a really fun thing that we're doing. It's super simple. And based off of what they select, they could have a whole bunch of different outcomes. So this was a little involved to set up because we have all these conditional logics based off of, where they want to go, who they're traveling with, their duration, what kind of landscape. Um, but when they submit the quiz, they have the option to put their name and email. Now, as a marketing director, I would say make this mandatory, but we did talk to the client and they don't want to do that. They want to make it optional, which is completely fine. So, what we did was put a little blurb underneath the email explaining why they should put their email because maybe they're going to get even more tailored information into their inbox or give them additional value out of that. So after they submit that information, they go to a landing page with their personalized results based off of what they put in the quiz. And what's cool about this is they could explore more about the quiz, or sorry, more about the tour. They could book the tour and they could book a call with the owner of the company, which is really cool. We're seeing more and more of our clients wanting to do this. So we're embedding a calendar on something like this. So some stats we're going to want to look at. Like I said, this is not live just yet, but we're going to want to look at how many people have completed this quiz completely. How many people have completed the quiz and put in their name and email versus how many haven't? How many people have booked after seeing their results? Or maybe how many people have booked after receiving the email and getting the confirmation and whatnot from there. So a couple different things we'd want to look at to see the success of something like this. But we're really excited about rolling this out. Another lead magnet that is really successful is our client Expedition Canab has a 5-day itinerary. He got 5,000 downloads in 2025. And what's really great about this is he understands and we understand because we built his website. Not everybody that comes to his website is ready to book. So, of course, the main call to action is book now. We want them to book the tour. That's the goal. But also, as a secondary call to action throughout even the homepage, the main section, we're trying to get people to download this lead magnet. So, if they're not ready, they're at least walking away from the website with something of value. And the way this lead magnet works is it's simple. Put in the email. As soon as that email gets submitted, the person gets a automatic confirmation email with the download. And it's really nicely designed, put together. This client put a lot of time in it. It is a little bit longer, but it's incredible to see the results that he got from it last year. So that's the power of something like that. And I'm all about practicing what I preach. So this might seem familiar. I don't know. A couple of years ago, when I first came on board with Resmark Systems, I really wanted to create a DIY marketing guide for people. Maybe they weren't ready for our services. Maybe you have the DIY guide, and I'm not telling, this is not a promotion for it. It's a little outdated, to be honest. It's like 2 or 3 years ago. But we had 300 downloads in 2025. Out of that, we got 30 consultation calls. So basically, 30 of the people who downloaded it wanted to have a call with us. Out of that, we got 7 clients from it, which is incredible to see. And I'm not saying that those 7 clients, and maybe you're one of them, the sole reason was a DIY guide. That's not what this is about. We're not putting a lead magnet on our website because that is what's going to convert them. But what it does allow is for us to keep top of mind in front of people in their inboxes. And then now they're seeing us in other places and social media and whatnot. So it is a huge part of having that omnipresent strategy. So if you guys have a lead magnet or any ideas, drop it in the chat so that we can collaborate regarding it. And I'm going to have Greg talk about number 3.
Perfect. Yeah. So now we just got leads, right, from our lead magnets. So what do we do with them? I think there are too many companies that do too little with the leads that they collect. So many times we collect leads, they sit there. Maybe we do like a monthly campaign or monthly newsletter. But what else can we be doing to really utilize the data that we're getting from these warm leads? They filled something out, they got information from you, they gave you information. How do we then turn those into bookings, right? So automated nurture emails generate up to 3 times higher engagement than standard campaign. So things like, your monthly newsletter or whatever it might be. I think the reason why is it's very timely, right? I just gave you information. I told you to do something with my information, and you actually did something with that information. It's going to be more likely to be engaged with because I just told you to. So automated lead nurturing, in my mind, it's such an easy piece of the puzzle because it's one of those things that you can set up and it's going to do all the hard work for you. It's something that really you need to be optimizing, you need to be improving it, but it is kind of one of those set it and forget it things in the sense of you can set it up, it's going to automatically enroll people into that. You don't have to worry about following up with them. Nikki, I just lost control to move the slide. There we go. Thanks. Um, so this is an example of a very simple automation, right? We can get into some really complex things, but if you're nervous because you think it's going to take too much time, start as simple as you can. In this example, we're simply capturing the lead through a form submitted, there's also a button link here that was clicked that brings someone into this workflow. In this case, we're tagging them so that we can use that in other workflows as well. And we're sending them the confirmation email. So they just gave you their email. Confirmation email that comes immediately after is very helpful because it engages them immediately. In this case, we're just waiting, one day, sending another email, waiting a day, sending another email. This cadence can be whatever you want it to be, but the earlier and the more front loaded you can make this, the better in most cases. So don't wait 3 days to send them your second email. Capture them while they're interested and make sure that you are sending value, right? If these emails aren't valuable and you're sending them day after day after day, they're either going to unsubscribe or just stop looking at them or get upset and not want to work with you. But if you're sending daily emails and each one has value, they're going to keep engaging. They're going to keep wanting to receive those. There's so many emails I get that are automated emails, and I don't look at every single one, but I don't unsubscribe because I want the value that is offered. And when I'm in the right mood or have the right time, I open up that days, I read it. I might go back and open up the previous one and read it. And so don't think that just because they're not opening every email that they're not interested as well. If you keep adding that value, then they're going to really, engage at the times that are needed for them. And so another thing is don't have these be too short, right? You capture their lead, you run a 5-day automated email and you never email them again. That's not what we wanna do here. We have their lead. We wanna find ways to engage them. Many people's buying cycles can be long, they can be short. They might be looking at something this year, ultimately not decide to book it, and they go and do something else, but next year, they see your email, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I was gonna do that. Let's go do that this year instead." And so find ways to have like a quick cadence up front where you're kind of front loading it, but then what are you sending them 60 days after and 120 days after and 360 days after so that you're still top of mind, you're still adding that value as they might come back and purchase at a different time. I when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about a car dealership, and this might not be the best example because car dealers can be quite pushy and obnoxious at times. But you walk into a car dealership and you start talking to an agent, you end up giving them your information, but you're not ready to buy, so you leave, right? In this scenario, every time I've ever gone to a car dealership, I get a text or a call that day from them, and I get one usually like every single day after until I tell them to stop messaging me because, like I said, sometimes they're a little bit too pushy and they're not adding value. The good car dealers that I've worked with are the ones that are persistent, but they're not annoying or obnoxious. They're adding value to what they're sending me. It's not just like, "Hey, when are you gonna buy? When are you gonna buy?" But they're, you know, giving me information about the car I was looking at or, sending me a review from people that like that car, whatever it might be. So, as you're going through this, definitely don't be too pushy, but be persistent and be adding that value, and they're not gonna care that you're messaging them. So this is an example of what we have built into our Resmark booking platform. It's called Cruise Control. Here we have automated lead nurturing, and we do emails and SMS in here as well. But this is an example from Adventure Center where they set up a 10-day email cadence. It was emailing daily for 10 days after receiving a lead. And they're averaging about 60% average open rate, which is really, really incredible, and about a 20% average click-through rate. And this is all automated, it's all tracked. Like I said, you set it up, you let it run, definitely come back and automate it. You can see some of these are turned on, some are turned off, and that's because we went through and or they went through and kind of updated them, re-looked at them to make them even better. And you can see at least the first 2 lines or yeah, even almost all of them are better. The new one's better open rate than the previous one. So they're doing something right there. It's pretty early to really tell how it's gonna perform compared to the others, but we're seeing some good things to start here. So that's kind of all I have for automated emails. Do you have anything to add, Nikki, before we move on to email
No,
campaigns?
that image at the top is the result when I downloaded that lead magnet that our client had 5,000 downloads last year, Expedition Canab. Those were the emails that I got after I had downloads. I had the download, and then every day I was getting additional valuable emails that I actually wanted to. And then I continued to get in, and it got a little bit more spread out over time. So that's what that was.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I'm going to talk to us about more of the general aspect of email campaigns. So, Greg was touching specifically about nurturing the people who fill out the lead magnet. I want to talk about, do we have actual email campaigns set up all across the board? So, we're building out this list. Are we sending emails to the colder audience? Maybe it's just the emails, the people that submitted that they want information about our newsletter, or maybe it was the lead magnet, or maybe it was a previous customer. Do we have campaigns in place for them? So, nurturing leads can generate 50% more sales at a lower cost, yet so many of us don't do it. And I think I know the reason why. I think it's we don't have the infrastructure in place. Maybe we don't know what to do, how to do it. It takes time to build out these things, but we could automate a lot of it. So, on the next slide we'll talk about some best practices, but just remember that 50% more sales because people nurture the list they already have. Remarketing can increase conversion by 70%. Remarketing allows you to stay in front of people who already visited your website, watched your video, clicked your ad, and instead of starting over with a cold audience, you are re engaging with somebody who already knows your brand. They've seen you before. Repeat bookings cost less to acquire than first time bookings. I think most of us would raise our hand, including me. Our number one customer, number one lead source are referrals and current customers for our tour operators. So, why don't we nurture the clients that were already clients, whether we're creating a referral process or trying to get in front of the people who have booked 6 months ago or a year ago? Consistent outreach increases lifetime customer value of mainly previous guests. And that's because you stay connected after the first booking instead of starting from scratch every single season. When you follow up, past guests are far more likely to book again and send others your way. But you have to follow up. If you don't follow up, they're going to forget.
I think
It's
what you
always,
said there, Nikki,
yeah,
is important to stop on as well, is send other people your way, right?
yeah,
There's a lot of tours out there that are like a once in a lifetime thing, or maybe twice, right? It's
yeah.
something that maybe I personally am never gonna go do again because it's expensive, or I literally am not able to go again because of certain rules or whatever. But as you keep target or marketing to that previous customer, they might be like, "Hey, friend, this just popped in my email. There's some promotion or there's
Yeah.
something interesting they can pass along, and now you have a new lifetime customer that hopefully you can get as well."
A lot of times you don't get what you don't ask for. So even if your past customer had the most amazing experience, they're busy. They're probably working a full-time job. Maybe they have children. They have a busy life. So you're not top of mind until you put yourself in front of them. Um, awesome. Campaign cadence creates predictable traffic spikes because instead of marketing randomly, you launch structured promotions at consistent intervals throughout the year. So, when your audience learns to expect like seasonal launches, or maybe it's limited availability announcements, maybe you're doing an early bird offer, engagement is going to increase and traffic surges become intentional rather than just accidental. And then lastly, I want to talk about here is structured email calendars turn sporadic marketing into steady revenue. And that is because they replace a random blast with intentional scheduled communication. So instead of just emailing people because bookings feel slow or low, you're consistently nurturing the leads you have. When I first got into marketing 10 years ago and I started doing email marketing specifically, I was doing that. When our sales were low, when I knew we needed bookings, I would just send massive amounts of blasts and we got nowhere with it. It wasn't until I created some form of structure behind my campaigns that I was sending that, and it was intentional, that we actually saw results from that. So your campaign cadence, or I'm sorry, your campaigns need to have some form of structure and be intentional. So I want to talk about best practices because I think a lot of these things that I just talked about, I think that it comes down to, why aren't we doing this? So, number one I see is We don't know how to do it. We don't know how to set up the infrastructure. So my tip number one is use a CRM you are comfortable with or have expert support for. So what is a CRM? It is a customer relationship management software. So think whenever somebody puts in their email or you're gathering that personal data from a form submission on your website, where is that being stored? It needs to be stored somewhere. So a CRM is a great place to store those contacts. And most CRMs allow you to send automated emails based off of certain things. So based off of the forms that they filled. So that is what a CRM is. And a lot of people don't know where to start with a CRM. There's so many out there. I'm sure you've heard of MailChimp. Most clients use MailChimp, Constant Contact, Active Campaign, HubSpot, and then of course at Resmark Web, we have our own systems that we use for our clients. But don't get overwhelmed by a CRM. They are a great tool though. Segment your list by tour type, interest, and booking intent. The more that we could segment our list out, the more tailored our email campaigns can be, and we could speak to our ideal customer based off of all the information that we know about them. Trigger automations based off of actions like form fills, clicks, page visits. Now, depending on how robust your CRM is we could trigger emails to go out based off of anything. Form fills are probably the simplest thing that you could do. So, depending on what page they land on, maybe have specific forms on different pages, we could have people go down a nurture sequence based off of the form that they filled. And I know this sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It really is not a lot to set up and start with the basics. Send prospects into tailored sequences based off of what tour they've used. So maybe they went on to a page on your website, are looking at a tour, they're interested in it. Well, you could actually send emails based off of what tour they're looking at. And not only that, you can get in front of them with Facebook ads, which we'll talk about in a second. But in order to do this, they have to already be in your CRM. Like if somebody comes to a tour page on your website and you don't have their information, you're not going to be able to send them an email. You need their email first, and they need to have their cookies in place and all of that. Move non-bookers from short-term campaigns into long-term nurture sequences. So like Greg said a couple minutes ago, if people are not interacting, it doesn't mean that, or if they're not opening up their emails, don't give up on them. Especially if they are opening emails or clicking, maybe they just haven't booked yet. That's okay. They're at least engaging in some sort of way. But even if they're not opening emails or delivering, if they have not hit that unsubscribe button, continue to send emails. However, just make it spread out a little bit more. Um, Personalize subject lines and content whenever possible. And that's great because we can gather a lot of personal details, whether it's because they're filling out a lead magnet or because they booked a tour with us. We ask them a bunch of information like their birthday, their anniversary. We have so much data. Why don't we get in front of them in an automated way that's simple, but we have all that information? Let's tailor messaging to them. And we could trigger things based off of when their birthday is or whatnot. So use one clear call to action per email. Keep it simple. The only reason I'd say maybe don't do one clear call to action is if you're doing a newsletter. That's a great place where you could have a longer type email with some great updates because people opted in for that. And that's what they know they're getting out of it. And test both plain text emails and design formats. So design would be more like for your newsletter type emails. But if you're going to send personalized content emails, make things plain text, make it seem like they're coming specifically from you. You can make it seem like that even though they're automatic. So, and test both. So don't just do all plain text and just all design. A/B test as much as you can. But when you do A/B test, only test one variable at a time so that you know what works. And most CRM platforms do this super gracefully. So you're able to do this with a click of a button and then see the results. I know our CRM platform, I really like it because you can split test an email, and based off of where most of the results are heading to after like 30% has been like delivered, it will then move all of the rest to the winner, like what subject line won, which I really love. Send consistently, avoid random bursts or long silence. I mentioned this a little earlier ago. Monitor deliverability. That's really important. You want your emails that you're spending time on to actually get in front of people. Also, do monitor open rates, click through rates. Those are important too, because then you know what kind of emails resonate with your audience. Track clicks and bookings, not just the vanity metrics. And don't get hung up on all of this either. And make unsubscribing easy for your audience. An engaged list performs better than a large one, of course. So, those are some best practices.
All right, let's wrap this up with the fifth point, which is remarketing campaigns. So, remarketing campaigns are something that I do not see enough in the tourism industry. I visit a lot of websites with my job, a lot of tourism websites, and I rarely, if ever, see a retargeted ad from the sites I visit. And it's such an easy way to capture your audience and bring them back. So I want to give just like an idea of how this could happen. Me and my wife right now, we're trying to plan something for our 25th or 25th. We're not that old yet. Our 15th anniversary. Um, and we're in the process of trying to kind of lock down still like what we want to do. But a typical situation that happens in our home is I get off of work. My wife's like, all right, here's the kids for a little bit. I'm going to go up and kind of look at some things that we might want to do. So she likes researching on a computer because it's a little bit easier to have multiple tabs open and compare things and whatnot. So she comes up, she spends a little bit of time on the computer just researching, looking at different websites. And then we come down she comes down, we have dinner, we spend time with the kids, we put the kids to sleep, and after the kids are asleep, it's, like, her time to decompress, and so she'll go and take a little bit of time just scrolling through her Instagram feed or TikTok, Facebook, wherever she's at, and just not think about anything, right? And there's no goal. Her whole goal is to think about nothing and see content that hopefully makes her laugh or is interesting, whatever, right? Now, imagine a scenario where she's laying on the bed, maybe scrolling through her phone, and here comes your remarketing ad. She was just on your website 2 hours ago, and she's scrolling through, and all of a sudden, there's this video from you, your company, and she's still thinking about all that because that's just how the brain works, right? And so she sees it, and she's like, "Oh, I was just looking at this." She clicks on it, super engaging video, and it's like, "Wow, this was great." She's gonna come out, show me, and be like, "Hey, honey, let's, like, check out this video. This looks so fun. Like, maybe this is something we should consider doing." And now we're gonna spend the next hour, 2 hours looking up things about the trip instead of decompressing, right? And so this is such an easy way to, like, interrupt our scroll. And whether that situation actually happens or she just sees it, watches it, and keeps scrolling, she's gonna see it, and now, like, it's in her mind. She's gonna understand that, "Hey, this company interacted with me again. I like what I saw. When I go back up to research some more, I'm gonna look at them further." But it's a really easy way to just kind of break that cycle up and re-engage people where they are. Because you can send me an email, but if I don't look at my email, it's not gonna really help me. But if I'm on social media and I see something, it's gonna help me book a lot better. So, it's easy to get started. First thing you wanna do, install tracking. Whether you're running ads or not, start gathering the data. Install your Metapixel, install your Google Ads tag, start getting that data, building that audience so that you can utilize it when you do start running ads. The next thing is to create these targeted audiences. Separate or create separate audiences for individual tour pages, set up cart abandonment tracking, exclude completed bookings. The key here is don't waste your ads budget on just targeting everyone. Target the people that are most likely going to move down the funnel. And you do this by with the tracking and through the different audiences and their interests. Next, start with a small and controlled budget. So $5 to $15 per day can be effective depending on your budget. Determine what's working and adjust that accordingly. But you don't have to start with like $300 a day and feel like that's gonna change the world. You can do it with a small bit of money and scale from there. Next is run lead form ads. So this is a great way to capture those guests that are still planning, offer them a packing list, a trip guide, a comparison checklist, some of the things Nikki already talked about. And provide them an easy way to move forward, right? Like going back to my wife's example, she's scrolling through and she sees something that's like that the example of Expedition Kanab, a 5-day itinerary for Kanab. We've been to Kanab on trips multiple times, and when I was actually looking through that guide, like, there's some great recommendations in there, and that could be really compelling to be like, "Oh, we're going for, like, 7 days. This is a 5-day, maybe there's some good information in here that we can use to move forward with," and she's gonna fill out that form, and now you can start retargeting and remarketing to her as well. And then refresh your creative every 30 to 45 days. Don't just leave it and forget it. Make sure that the images, the videos, whatever it is, that you're updating it. You're making it different because if you're just showing the same thing forever, it's just going to blend in with the background and people aren't going to notice it. But if you're refreshing it, showing different content, it's adding different value, and could you could send the right thing or have the right image that gets that person to click this time. And then finally, test, test, test. Don't just do this and hope it works, but test things. Update your headlines and test those. That's one of the easiest things you can do. Test the creative, whether it's image against image or image versus video, whatever it might be, but test that. Test the landing page. So are you sending them to your tour page directly? Are you sending them to a limited offer page or some other landing page? Test the location that they're going to when they click and interact. And then pause underperforming ads quickly. Warm audiences give fast signals, so don't just keep running underperforming ads. And then duplicate the winning ads and test those with new hooks, so new headlines, new imagery, whatever it might be. But act fast. Don't just let it sit for months and months and months, or you're just going to be wasting your money at the end of the day.
Awesome, great. I see so many people, and I was one of them a long time ago before I knew, it's not just one thing. It's all of it together. Oh, Facebook ads never worked for me. Or oh, this didn't work for me because it took too long. Are we testing things? Are we actually, doing the right things? Because we can't just set it and forget it. And I think it all comes down to this. The bottom line is it's a system. It is not just a website. It is not just social media. It is not just SEO, and it is not just paid ads. These all work together. When guests are comparing options, structure is just going to be hope every single time. So you have to be intentional about everything you're doing, or you're just wasting your money. I'll be honest with you. Traffic without lead capture is just going to leak revenue. And I think this is the one place that you could start right now. Create, if you don't have a lead magnet, get it in place. And if you don't have emails in place to nurture either the lead magnet or your newsletter subscribers, set something up. Sign up with a CRM system, get something in place. So most guests will not book on their first visit. I think we all talked about that today because they're still researching, they're evaluating their alternatives. And that's why consistent, intentional nurture is always going to outperform occasional communication. And at the end of the day, the operator with the better system is going to convert more of even the same traffic with they're not going to even need more visitors. They're going to still outperform because they have a better structure in place. And with that, we have a growth assessment so you could see where you stand compared to other tour operators in the planning stage. So feel free to scan that QR code. You'll see where you are at in the dreaming phase, the planning phase. And Greg, do you have any stats where we see people who submit their results? Where do we find most tour operators are at in the planning stage? Are most doing really well? Do most have a lead magnet, or are most struggling?
Yeah, specifically lead magnets, from what the response that we gotten so far, they seem to decent amount of people have the lead magnets, but where they're struggling is that lead follow-up. That's the part that most people are failing on, is really having that automated structure set up where they're capitalizing on the things they have in place. So that's a
Yeah.
great place to get started, is really taking this survey if you haven't already, seeing where you're struggling, and then we can meet with you, we can get with you and help you walk through how you can improve those steps as well.
Yeah. We work with an incredible tour operator who is doing a lot of things right. But the one place we're struggling, or he's struggling, is the email follow up. So we have a great lead magnet, we have a newsletter, we have all of this in place, and he's using a CRM outside of what I'm actually super comfortable in. So we've gone in a few times to try to like organize his list and stuff, and it comes down to just being overwhelmed. So it's taking a step back, thinking strategically, and doing one thing at a time. You don't have to do it all overnight, guys. And feel free to drop any questions in the chat. And while you do that, if you scan this QR code, you could book a call with us, of course. And I'm totally going to plug our podcast. So if you want more insights from Greg and Nikki, check out the Tour Operator Growth Podcast. It's about 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to dive into very specific marketing concepts and topics in each episode. So and I love your feedback if you do listen to the podcast, or I'd love your feedback on the webinar, of course. And here's my contact details to reach me. We're always available. And thank you for always joining our webinars. And our next one will be around March 26th, but that's tentative for now. Any questions, anybody? Doesn't look like much has come through. So, all right, right on the hour. Look at that, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, thanks, Kent. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Awesome. All right, everybody. I hope you got some good value out of that. We'll see you next month. Thanks for the high fives. Awesome. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.